Oh, hello there, and welcome to Phil Talking D20. So, in today's video, we are going to be diving into Wayfinder. What's Wayfinder? Well, it is a place where we, as members of the Paizo and Pathfinder 2 community, can have our community-created content featured in their free ezine. That's a win in my book. So, are you someone that has considered yourself worthy of publication but have not been publified yet? Well, now is an opportunity. Those words are real words, by the way. I didn't just make them up. That's not true. I did just make them up. But if you are someone who loves creating content, be that, and I will go through the kind of stuff they want from the community boards on the Paizo forum. So, this, like I said, is all voluntary. All the people involved are volunteering their time and their efforts for us, but they're also part of our community and in some cases us, although I haven't submitted anything, although I'm thinking about it. Definitely thinking about it. Now, they are currently asking for submissions for episode 22 of their publication. That's still not a real word, but I'm going to keep using it until it sticks. And they're focusing on the Isle of Kortos, focusing on the areas outside of Absalom, but not necessarily excluding Absalom. Now, I'm not going to give you the full rundown because I would much rather pop a link in the description below and have you all pop over there and have a bit of a read through. I'll also put a link to the current edition, 21, on the Paizo boards because it's free. Who doesn't want free content? And when I go through what's in it, you'll see there's a lot of cool content in there. There's all sorts of great stuff. So the kind of things they're after in general are as follows. Advice, valuable information or experiences with new GMs or players in the new Lost Omens campaign setting and second edition rule system. Submissions for those advice articles around 750 words. Beastery, new creatures to terrorize your PCs. So if you fancy yourself as someone who can create cool monsters, put it to the test. See if you can get it in. See if you can get it featured. Flavor articles and fiction are other things that they are happy to take submissions for. Gazettas, expand and explore places on the Isle of Kortos that have little to no information about them in the campaign setting literature. If applicable, you may submit a half-page map of your chosen locale. And the submission size, 1,500 words. It's roughly, for the fiction side, Wayfinder now accepts fiction submissions directly from the public. Joining a writers group to help with editing and development is still highly recommended. Submission size 750 to 1,500 words. So you don't have to be someone that necessarily creates rules or or fluff or flavour. If you just like writing stories and you've got a bit of a talent for it, again, they're going to look at it. There's more detailed guidance on that in the posts if that's something that floats your boat. Of chance and skill. This is quite a cool little nifty feature. Games new to or adapted for Pathfinder to play at your table. So effectively, it's like creating mini games to put in your game. So, I mean, the obvious example is like chess, right? We play chess, know how to play chess, and people play chess in real life. But if you're looking for something that you can throw into a campaign or into a session, maybe a downtime session, and people are kind of fidgeting around for this kind of an endeavor, people have created plenty of stuff for that kind of thing, which is fab. New rules, articles devoted to new backgrounds, ancestries, feats, ancestral class or general, or spells for the Pathfinder RPG 2nd edition. Multiple smaller entries, usually feats, backgrounds, or spells, can be grouped together by a clear theme and submitted as one article. I mean, that's brilliant, isn't it? And in the episode, I keep calling it episodes, I suppose in a way that's not far off, in the edition 21 of this ezine, there is some really great stuff along those lines for people creating kind of custom homebrew magic items. Most of it is based around, roughly speaking, the Rise of the Whispering Tyrant, Fall of Plaguestone, that kind of area in the world in general. Each, as far as I can tell, each magazine like edition seems to be focused in on a particular area for kind of lensing in on what they want to create, which is a brilliant idea because it helps them flavor out stuff that might not necessarily get as much focus in, say, the main adventure paths, etc. New equipment, articles detailing new weapons, armor, or magic items, side trek seeds. These are a little boon to any games master out there. Side trek seeds are short outlines that provide GMs with ideas, either as side treks for a Pathfinder adventure or as mini adventures. In this case, based around the Isle of Kortos. Let's have a quick look. Poetry and song. This is quite a cool one. If you're someone that's quite lyrically creative, music and poetry often define a culture. Share your vision of the best-known songs and poems of Galorian, with special emphasis on the issue's theme, obviously the Isle of Kortos in this case. 35 to 50 lines in total. And then another cool little feature of that is in this Ezine is called Wheel or Woe. 2 6th level or lower NPCs, including stat blocks, 1 potential ally, 1 potential adversary. Set in the campaign setting on the Isle of Kortos, obviously in this particular case. Include hooks for how PCs might meet each NPC and how to use them in a campaign. Include a boon that can come from the wheel character and a drawback that can come from the woe character. Let's have a quick look. And then there's some community guidelines, conditions for submissions. But that's basically what I've taken kind of fastly and loosely from the Paizo community use forums, where Timitus, who is a PaizoCon founder, has posted it up ready for the Isle of Kortos, obviously edition 22 of Wayfinder. So that gives you a good loose idea of what kind of content you're going to get in one of these editions of Wayfinder. But to jump in and have a quick nose at, so I'm always a fan of more magic items. And I don't necessarily want or like 50 million plus 50 gajillion points of death nuclear magic items. I'm always a fan of the kind of the lower end ones, the kind of 1 to 10 level magic items. I think they're often the most usable and the most likely to be deployed in a game, because all campaigns are going to involve levels 1 to 10. They might not include 10 to 20. So that's the kind of the focus for me. I always think that's always where your attention should be. And lo and behold, we've got some little cheeky wins in here. So I'll just point out a couple that I quite like from this particular article. So, Wall Watcher's Armory by Matt Kavanagh. This obviously focuses around the loss and destruction of Vigil, the rise of Tar-Baphon, the Whispering Tyrant. Maybe he should be played, the Whispering Tyrant, by, what's his name? William Dafoe? Would he make a good Whispering Tyrant? Or Christopher Walken, actually. Let's go Christopher Walken. Now, Sentry's Stout Boots. A level 5 item, no less. 150 gold. Made from a dark grey metal, these heavy boots extend to the mid-shin, with light, nearly white engravings throughout. When worn, the boots impose a -1 penalty to stealth, but grant a +1 item bonus to athletics. You also gain the ability to shove creatures up to 2 sizes larger than you. However, they also have a activation, which is 2 actions command, and it's once per day. By shouting the command word "hold," you become immovable and cannot be knocked prone or otherwise moved except by your own volition. Fab. Brilliant. We've got Officer's Regalia, a level 6 item. Worn as clothing, 200 gold. This fine clothing is adorned with detailed embroidery displaying the symbols of Last Wall and its capital Vigil. It also carries a +1 armor rune. Hang on, let's jump back up because it's split. Potency rune. While worn, it grants you +1 item bonus to diplomacy, intimidation, and society skill checks. Easy. And what's great about this is this proves that Paizo believe in the community and believe in games masters and players creating content outside of what they've created. One of the things that is a really important kind of thing to kind of reiterate is when you're sat as a games master or a player, the opportunity to be creative isn't nullified by what's in the book. The book is guidance, the book is a solid, reliable bedrock. But if you, in your particular campaign, have a need for certain types of magical items that aren't provided for in 5th edition D&D or 2nd edition Pathfinder, maybe you've been inspired by something from a movie or a TV show that you love. Don't be afraid to try and create it yourself. There's certainly no harm in trying. And worst case scenario, you can ask for some advice on the forums over at Paizo. There'll be plenty of creative types there that will help you out. Give it a go, like Matt Kavanagh has, and I must say, quite successfully. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm only focusing on Matt Kavanagh, because there are a lot of great people that have contributed some really great stuff. So I just want to kind of skip around and see if I can find you. Oh, here was a cool one. Oracles of the Final Omen. So, Jeffrey Anderson has created an apocalypse mystery theme for the Oracle, with focus spells, mystery benefits, obviously all the stuff. Train skill grants you intimidate, granted cantrip, telekinetic projectile, revelation spells, initial doomsayer, advanced devastation, greater calamity, related domains, decay, and destruction. Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. Being an apocalypse-themed oracle, you have foreseen the end of all things, and you're here to kind of do something about it, or enact it, depending on how you want to play the character. Fab. Really good content. There's another one right at the start where, and I can't remember his name, so I'm just going to whisk up to the top because he was right at the very top. Who's created a new muse for the Bard, the Muse of Tragedy. This is by Andrew D. Geels. So Dirge of Gloom is a verbally cast free action focus level 4 spell. You call upon your muse to suffuse your dirge. If your next action is to cast Dirge of Doom, attempt a performance check. The DC is usually a very hard DC of a level equal to that of the highest level target of your composition, but the GM can assign a different DC based on the circumstances. The effect of your Dirge of Doom composition depends on the results of your check. Success. Foes in the area of your Dirge of Doom also take 1d6% additional mental damage, persistent mental damage, and then obviously a crit success, a failure, and so forth, and it heightens at every 2 levels. So in terms of the level of content that these people in our community are creating, these aren't published authors. These are people just like you and me who regularly run games and regularly kind of, commit a lot of their time to being creative types, getting recognized and published in Paizo's, kind of Ezine. They're backing it, they're endorsing it, it's their branding, it's on their website, and it's not necessarily them doing the hard work because it's all volunteers. They're all putting a lot of effort into this for free. But one of the other great opportunities here is if you are someone that's thinking about making a career for themselves within the kind of the RPG kind of world space, because you want to create content. Maybe you've always dreamed of being a published Adventure Path author. This is or one of at least your starting blocks, because no one walks into a 50k a year paid creative kind of job. You have to prove that you've got the skills, you have to network, you have to put a lot of effort in. But this is a great place to get started. So again, if you're kind of, thinking, oh, I've done this, I've done that, and it was, really popular with my table, give serious consideration to trying to submit some content for this, because like I said, there's a lot of opportunity here, which shouldn't be missed if you're kind of, keen to do something along these lines. Let me have another quick skim and see if I can pick out something else that I quite liked while I was having a read through. I mean, to be fair, it's all good stuff. There's some fan fiction. Again, this is all themed around. This was quite a fun one. I quite like the idea of heroic legacy backgrounds. So this is by Rigby Bendale and Bran Hager. A new campaign means new characters, but that doesn't mean you have to leave the old ones behind. If you have played through a given adventure path and with your GM's permission, the associated legacy background becomes available to you to choose in a later campaign. Additional backgrounds with ties to previous adventure paths can be found in the Lost Omens World Guide, particularly Last of All Survivor, Whispering Way Scion, Child of Westcrown, and Thessalonian Traveller. But they've created ones in this particular article. So this one's themed around Rise of the Rune Lords. I imagine a lot of the people watching this channel have played it. I've listened to it being played and DM'd by Skid, who is a Jedi master of DMing that particular campaign. That's on the Glass Cannon podcast. That one, however, is behind their paywall on Patreon. But it is well worth it because Skid is a great GM and Rise of the Rune Lords has been a brilliant adventure path so far. Now, Runic Harbinger, Legacy of the Rune Lords is the kind of the campaign arc background. Your mentor was one of the first people in millennia to face a Rune Lord in combat. The stories of Karzug and Zin Shalast prepared you for the rise of New Thassalon. Choose 2 ability boosts. One must be intelligence or wisdom, the other is a free. You're trained in the Arcana skill and Thessalonian lore skill. You gain the recognized spell skill feat. If you have a positive intelligence modifier, add Thessalonian to the list of languages you can choose. So backgrounds for me are a brilliant way of locking in some additional kind of flavor and theme, and giving you tools that will be useful to you from perhaps a player story arc, but also in this case from a campaign story arc. Thessalonian isn't something you can just know, and having that lever to pull when it's critical because there are Thessalonian writings on a wall and you're all stood there going, duh. You're the game changer at that point. You're the person who goes, oh, I read Thessalonian, what does it say? And then it says, treasure be here, or watch out for the trap, dimwit, or whatever it might actually be. You're going to be the person that enabled that to happen. So don't sleep on little touches like that, because when they matter, they can really matter. Scrappy Citizen. Legacy is Kingmaker. Between food shortages, curses, and the depredations of evil fae, you learned how to survive the birth of a new kingdom. Choose 2 ability boosts. One must be strength or wisdom. The other is a free pick. You're trained in the survival skill and the scouting lore skill. You gain the survey wildlife skill feat. So yeah, again, just great how we've got this kind of community created content, and props to them because it's been picked, because it's good, and it's been featured, and it's been published. Who doesn't want to be published? Now, what else have we got here? Let's have another skim. Another one of my fast skims. Oh, okay. This is a cool one. Wheel or Woe. You remember I mentioned that when we were doing our rundown of kind of things that get featured in this article, and you had to come up with some NPCs. Let's have a look. So Vanya, a second-born noble, she is a level 4 human paladin, and she's fully statted out. And then the villain of the piece is Brant, but he's now a ghoul. and he has like a bunch of lesser ghouls that he hangs out with. Let's have a quick look. Adventure hooks. Brant's son, Calder, survived and is searching for news of his father. He hires the PCs to find Brant. The ghouls were spotted from Nirmathas side of the river and made the locals nervous. They hired some adventurers to kill the undead to avoid the creatures crossing the river and infecting Nirmathi people. So the drawback, because they obviously mentioned they should have boons or drawbacks. Brant is cunning and evil. If a PC is a cleric or a champion, he focuses on turning them into a ghoul rather than killing them. He also has 4 other ghouls following him who will follow his commands. They pose a threat to any refugees still looking to cross the river in that area. So again, these are like they've asked for in submissions tying into Kortos. These are kind of focused in on the kind of the fluff and flavour around the Whispering Tyrant and that part of the world, the Eye of Dread, all that kind of stuff. Hence why a ghoul, I mean, it's a classic. Who doesn't love a ghoul? He's also a bit of a badass when it comes to like his stats and abilities. He's not your average, kind of ghoul, kind of, Muppet. And I say that, they're a classic low-level monster, but he's level 5. Let's have a quick look. Swift leap. Okay, so he's basically just a slightly up-geared ghoul. But he's got an armor class of 21, so he's coming in heavy. And I think, did he have 72 hit points? Let's have a look back up. He's a brilliant. And the art that's been created for him is fab. Really good. Love that art. 72 hit points. He's a boost. He'll live forever. So this particular Wheel of Woe, the Cynic's Gambit, was by, and I'm sorry if I butcher your name, please do forgive me, but I'm going to give it a try. K.M. Kowalczyk. That's what I'm going to go with. And the art was by Frank Hessefort. Again, if I've got that horribly wrong, I apologise. Now, on that subject, my name's Phil, and I get called Bill quite regularly. Go figure. Let's have another quick skim, just to pick out something else, just so you can get an idea. They advertise in here, which I'm a big fan of. So I've just stopped on a page where the Archives of Nethys are advertising. If you don't know what that is, where have you been? Brilliant SRD online resource tool for Pathfinder 1 and 2. All your rules and everything like that on the old interwebs. What else is in here? We have... there was another class option for... So there's another Oracle, and then there's also... was it occult spiritualism methodology for the investigator, which is very cool. So let's give these two a shout out because again I quite enjoyed that one. Dreams and Spirits, new options for Oracle's investigators. This is by Edmund Gina and the art was by Christina Seppa. So don't sleep on this. This is some really cool stuff in here. If you if you kind of look at all the current stuff, of which there is an absolute metric boatload, and you kind of go, yeah, I want something new. It might be in here or in any of the other 20 other issues of Wayfinder. And it's free. Did I mention that? It's a no-brainer. Pocket Gremlin. Tell more. So let's go quickly back up. Skillful items for the foolhardy, crossed out, jokey, discerning professional. So here's some more funny, quirky items for your game. And that's right, I did just read the phrase Pocket Gremlin. So this one's getting a shout out. It's a level 7 item. It falls within my criteria of 1 to 10 being critical. Will it be used in my game? Quite probably, by the sounds of it. Usage held in one hand. 340 gold. This clockwork Vexgit gremlin fits uncomfortably in one hand. When you turn the key in its back, it springs to life, seeking to disarm a nearby trap. Fab. One action, interact, frequency once per hour. Effect: upon turning the key, you point at a nearby device you wish to disable. The pocket gremlin walks up to 30 feet and then attempts a thievery check to disable the device against the trap's DC. With a modifier of plus 15, this is literally the item I've been looking for. These are the gremlins I'm looking for. Pocket gremlins. Clockwork. You get it. So, if the pocket gremlin critically fails, it will not trigger immediately, instead activating as soon as the creature approaches within range. Okay, so it backfires on you. Brilliant. So, the pocket gremlin is uncannily lucky and unerringly avoids trap triggers. If the pocket gremlin critically fails the check, it will not trigger immediately, instead activating as soon as a creature approaches within range of the trap's effect. So basically, you'll set this thing off, and if it critically fails, you'll have to go and fetch it, and then the trap will get you. Fab. I quite like that, because let's be honest with you, plus 15 on the old disabled device is pretty juicy. Very cool. So hopefully that's given you a good insight into what Wayfinder is, what it's about, who's in it, and the opportunity for you to possibly be in it too. There you go. I'm going to try and get a shot at getting some content in. I'm not sure I can maybe necessarily do too much on the lore of the Isle of Kortos, but I can probably drum up a monster. I already know I've got an entire, archetype that I can roll in and see if they're interested in. So I think I'm going to have a go at putting some content in. Sounds fun. And if you're creative and love doing that kind of stuff, why don't you give them a hand and see if you can create some content too? Maybe you'll get published. Maybe you'll get published in the episode I'm published in. Maybe yours will be better than mine. Who knows? The only way to find out is to roll the dice and give it a try. Anyway, that concludes this episode on Wayfinder. Free, community-created content supported by Paizo, distributed by Paizo, and available for you to download and have a good old neb through. Enjoy it. Links will be below for both the actual Ezine itself and also for the community posts part where you can read and understand how you can submit to it to see if you can help them out. So enjoy it, take it easy, stay safe, stay casual, and I shall see you on the next video. Peace.